Yeah, I think there might be some noise coming from the or something.
What?
Some noise coming
Oh,
from
sorry.
the
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even hear it.
Heard something faint.
Yeah, I kept hearing something.
I need my hearing aids. I can't even hear it.
Okay, we're ready to go.
Okay. Welcome to the May 19th, 2026 meeting of the Land Use Waterfront and Landmarks Committee. My name is Maya Donahue and I'm the chair of the committee. Tonight we are joined by Assistant District Manager Brendan Britt. This meeting is called to order at 6:32 p.m. As a reminder, the New York State law requires all committee members who are not able to attend the meeting in person to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. Members of the public who are attending virtually, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. Members of the public who are here in person, you can raise any questions that you have by raising your hand. If there is time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. So nobody has agreed to take minutes tonight. Who would like to take minutes? Are you sure? Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So now we'll take attendance by roll call. Brendan will conduct the roll call.
Committee members, I will call your name. Your name is called, please say present. I will announce if there is quorum. Tanya Arias,
Here present.
Daniel Bernstein,
Present.
Jim Collins.
Yeah.
Maya Donahue,
Present.
Alec Middleton,
Present.
Rich Schmidt. Bill come later, Larry Shire,
Present.
Sandra Sherrod,
Present.
Letty Simon is excused, Susan Steinberg is excused, Mark Thompson,
Present.
James Vera,
Present.
and Shuya Zhao.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Brendan. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and reflected on the screen before you. I think we had 2 questions about it. Oh wait, no, just kidding. That was about the minutes. So if there's no objection about the agenda, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, any objections? No, great. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the April 27th meeting were distributed ahead of time by the board office, and there were 2 things on the minutes. We wanted to change, I think there was a typo when I updated the draft to there's 2 agenda item 6s, and the second one should be agenda item 7. And then she would like to change her title to preservationist. I think she's listed as urban planner. So if there's no objection to those, we can adopt the minutes as amended. Wonderful. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the April 27th meeting are adopted and they will soon be available on the CB6 website.
I'm sorry. You took the one about the referral. The minutes said that we referred something. We didn't refer it. We didn't.
I didn't see you.
Yeah, I sent a note.
I didn't see the email, but yeah, so we adopted in the draft that was sent out,
Right.
saying that the last 2 items were
Right.
referred because the
Like the quorum that
Yeah.
we did it from the floor instead on the resolution.
Great. To set some ground rules, in order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. I will use the gavel this time. Please wait to be acknowledged. The committee members who are here in person, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and I will identify you to speak. Committee members unable to attend in person, if you have a question about committee business, you may raise your hand through Zoom and I will identify you so you can speak. All committee members, it is extremely important that only one person speak at a time so the members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said by each committee member. The chat function for committee members present via Zoom should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us or notify us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on the.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry. No.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Wonderful. So we can move on to the first agenda item, the continued discussion of resolution supporting the Historic District Council proposed landmark designation of several places. 400 First Avenue, 23 Lexington Avenue, 122nd East 34th Street, 207 East 32nd Street, and the proposed individual landmark and interior landmark designation of 149 East 23rd Street. This was something we received from the Parks Committee when landmarks was moved to this committee, so I hope all of you watched the YouTube video that Brendan sent out last month. That showed their discussion about it, but we can see the resolutions that they wrote for us that you all had access to beforehand. So we can discuss them one by one if you would like. We did receive the one letter request from the Armenian Evangelical Church, which was 152 East 34th Street.
And we also discussed that last month.
Not that.
We didn't
No.
discuss these individually.
Yeah, and they had,
We discussed it as part of Shreya's presentation, but not as part of their like
oh, okay,
landmark,
sure.
landmarking request. So do we want, sorry, Tanya, do we want to discuss each one individually, or do you want to just address the
Well-
resolution?
Oh.
Yes, Shreya.
I just think it is not very proper to have a resolution without any input from the community, because we haven't notified the community close to that property and the community who use that properties, and then we haven't heard any voices from other property owners, and I think it is better to send letters to the community, or just as what we did in the housing housing committee, and we put it in the e-blast, and then we collected more than 100 feedbacks from the community, and then I think it is better to have the community feedback, and then we have the resolution afterwards.
Right, so we definitely have this in the e-blast as far as it being an agenda item topic, and this has been discussed by the Parks Committee
Well, it is
already.
almost not discussed. think, that.
I do understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
let's hear from Alan.
I disagree. I don't think that we should do that. I don't want to set a precedent in which case we have a landmarking designation and then we need to solicit any input. We have committee discussions and we allow members of the public to come here and talk to us about their opinion about certain landmarking designations, and I don't think that we need to really set a precedent for future landmarking projects. The case with the shelter in 30th Street with the housing committees, a little bit of a different case because that's not a landmarking situation. That's the opportunity for the community to opine on sort of this unique opportunity as opposed to.
Yeah,
something
and
that-
I disagree with that, because the social value is a very important value for any landmarks, and how people think about this, and how people have memory and collective memory, and what they think is significant for this properties is very important for us to hear about. So the social value is just very important for landmarks designation. So in this case, it is important, really important to get residents' feedback.
I agree, and I will say that these things have been for, I think it's the Rose Hill Kips Bay Coalition. They worked with the HPC since last year, 2025, and they notified all the people in that regard. So I understand that CB6 hasn't made a more consecrated effort beyond just putting it
Yeah.
as the agenda item, which is online, and the e-blast and other ways for people to access the agenda.
And I think we
There has
can use
been-
this month to do that, and next month we can work for the resolution. and-
I will say, I think we should move forward because
Okay.
these have been waiting for a while. We were supposed to talk about it last month, but we did the presentation to allow the members of the committee to have a better idea of landmarking, since this is a new idea to the committee. But my suggestion for the committee is that we move forward on these specific ones and we can make more concentrated efforts in the future, since these people have been waiting and it will go to the LPC. And we should, as a community board, decide on them, especially because next month will be our last month for full board. Then it's going to be September before any of us like talk on anything, but I would like to hear from other members of the committee, and if we can reach a consensus on that, and then we move forward or we table it, but Tanya's gonna make.
Thanks. I take very seriously, as someone who has had very intimate relations with LPC, living in a landmark district and dealing with, I don't know what each one of your experiences have been when your building becomes landmarked. But I can tell you that the letter from the Armenian Evangelical Church has to be taken seriously, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I wanna
They-
just, I do wanna hear what you're saying, but I wanna reach a consensus on if the committee is comfortable just discussing this in general
Okay,
without the
are you
community feedback.
discussing?
But I will very happily want to listen to what you want to say on a specific item.
Discussing what specifically, the resolution?
Any of these applications that are going to be put in front of the LPC and opining on that as a community board, as Sheila is pointing out that she thinks that we haven't had enough outreach to the community to have feedback from the community beyond obviously this is a public meeting.
Yeah.
Can I finish saying what I have to say, please, after we decide?
Yes.
Okay, I'm comfortable with it. And, you know, after hearing, what Tanya wants to,
Yes.
say, I would call the question. But you have something else, Jim?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Just insofar as public notice is concerned. We're adopting this new manual to do these landmark,
Yes, which we adopted last.
right? We should probably consider taking out, more just as a matter of policy. Either us or Landmark Preservation Commission should take out some kind of legal notice in, say, the New York Law Journal or something else to some other, widely read, newspaper, so that people are aware that these things happen.
I will say, I'm gonna go to Mark next, but
Is
before.
that required now? I don't believe it is.
It's not required now, and I will say that would be.
Not us, I'm saying Landmark Preservation.
Oh,
Commission.
yes, I was gonna say, I think
Should
that's
do
an
it, and-
excessive,
Hearing.
Hmm?
It is for hearing.
For the hearing on the plan,
yeah, so we're in like the stage before that issue, yeah.
but that hearing is pretty much down the road, right?
But the
Yeah.
the existence of the hearing gives the community, which has been put on notice that this is under consideration, ample opportunity to prepare, their comments.
What's the lead time?
Well, this has been the HPC and the Ribs Bay,
No, I'm
Kipps
talking about
Hill
the
Coalition.
hearing of the, between the legal notice and the hearing date.
It is.
No, I'm talking about the initial identification of we're way up at the start of the process, right?
Yeah, it is at the very start point, and if it is rejected at this stage and it will not have public hearings in LPC, it will just be rejected for LPC. And the public hearing, LPC's public hearing is maybe the fourth step or fifth
After
step
the
of
mass
the
selective
LPC,
research,
and it is not at that stage. And I still think that we have one more month and we can get lots of feedbacks from the
I'm gonna-
community and.
I'm gonna go.
I'm not at all familiar with the LPC procedures, I mean, this is.
Well, we did
underwear.
go over them as a committee last month, and I'm gonna go to Mark, because he's been raising his hand.
Can I?
I'm gonna go to Mark
Okay,
first.
so I think, Tanya, did you want to finish what you were talking about first?
I would very much like to, but.
Okay, then I'll wait for Tanya to go
She's the
first.
chair. She's the chair. I'm not the chair.
Do you have a comment on whether we should discuss this large, Mark?
Yeah,
Mark.
I'm fine with everyone talking about all this. I just had a question that kind of goes back a little bit. I
Is the
wasn't
question
sure-
on any specific one of these?
No.
Okay,
No,
then
it's on
yeah,
process.
go ahead, please.
Okay. So when the Rose Hill Association did their thing, did they actually have comments from public? I wasn't sure of what feedback they got and how they.
I'm not sure of the entire process of what the Rose Hill Kipps Bay Coalition did, but they did notify the owners of the building along with HPC when they started this application process back in 2025.
Okay, so they did talk to the building owners. They were all notified. And, okay.
Which is
that's
why
cool.
we do have one letter from one of
From the
the,
church, yeah.
so I think everyone's had the opportunity to speak if they wanted to, so I do want to just decide on. Yes, Brendan, are you trying to say something?
Go ahead.
Okay, I do want to decide on if we are all comfortable as a committee to move forward, and then we can go to you first if we do move forward.
No, I disagree.
Well, how about a raise of hands if you're okay with moving forward, please,
Sorry, moving forward specifically with.
with the discussion?
Of
of the resolution.
With the
Okay.
discussion.
I just wanna understand, is this approving whatever the issue is with the?
No.
No, this is
Church
just
as
to
well?
discuss.
We're
Yeah,
only-
mini and church is a separate issue?
Yes, we're only
Alright.
going to be open to actually discussing these in
Okay.
relation to has there been enough community
Let's
peace.
discuss it. Sure.
But does
Okay.
it mean that if we have this resolution and we will send it directly to the LPC and then we will never hear from the community and this is the problem?
Well, yes, and
And-
we will also go into full board, so there is opportunity for the community again to come back at full board to speak. But I would like to advise the committee again that we do need to pass this month if we do want to vote on it next month before the summer recess. But
Yeah,
everyone take that in,
Yeah.
everyone's entitled to their own opinion, I want you to vote in the way that you feel most comfortable, and please raise your hand if you're comfortable.
Can you please repeat
Yeah.
what we're voting on?
Please raise your hand if you feel comfortable discussing the resolution with the knowledge that there has potentially not been the full community feedback that could be possible.
I think,
So we're only voting on if you're comfortable discussing the resolution, not any
Discussing,
opinions
not
about the
passing.
resolution, yeah,
Not vote.
just discussing the agenda item.
Right.
Sure.
Discuss it, sure.
Just discussing, yeah.
Okay, do we need a formal roll call, Brendan? There was one.
No.
Okay, opposed. Okay, so we're gonna move forward with discussing this as is. We'll go to Tanya first. And I believe you want to talk about 125 East 34th.
I do, because since the owners have been notified, and I think it's essential that owners are notified, because I will tell you, as I was saying, I don't know how many of you live in landmarked buildings or landmark districts, but I can assure you that it adds an enormous sum to any project that you embark on. And I can give you an example of what's happened in my building. It actually extended the FISC by an additional year being
Could you
landmark.
please
The
explain
FISC,
that,
the local law limit.
Don't know what that is.
That's the facade that you see, the
Law
local law limit, which is where you see all of those bridges on the sidewalks, all that, that's called a bridge. And that means an additional year of paying for a bridge. That's an additional year of paying for expenses. And it added, it added 25% to our project and added $1.2 million to the project. And the fact of the matter is that I'm all for preservation. I live in a landmark district. I actually fought against the fair housing, the faith-based housing, because precisely there was a risk to preservation. But I think that there also has to be a common sense approach to this. When you're landmarking a nonprofit, such as a church, their margins are razor thin. They don't have businesses that generate income for them. And as it is, insurance, taxes, the cost of doing work for any work is already high. So my feeling with you that I think that there should be a lot more feedback from owners, because it's sort of a mixed blessing. If you were dealing with something that has been federally designated, as you mentioned last time, you get grants.
Yeah.
You get, the city will not give you a penny, not one penny. They will not help you.
I have a question for you, Tanya.
Yeah.
So we did get the one letter of like, we don't want to be landmarked. So
Right.
are you saying that you would like the other ones who decided not to comment to specifically comment in support for this landmarking on their buildings?
I would like two things. One, I would like to amend the resolution to take them out of it.
The 152.
The Armenian Evangelical Church, I'm telling you this, what they're saying is true. And I would love to get some feedback from the others, from the owners of the others in the community. Because it's really, it's a mixed blessing. It really is. We all want to preserve, but you have to have the capacity to pay for it. I mean, I can pass assessments in my building, or I can refinance my mortgage, but a church can't.
And I will say, I looked online, the church did sell their air rights in the 80s, so as far as the
They have nothing.
presentation you give, yeah, they don't have a lot of options.
They don't have
As far as today, Larry?
Yeah, this is a real conundrum.
it is.
The building this demolition triggered the landmark preservation movement
Penn Central. Penn Station.
was Pennsylvania Station.
Penn Station.
The same situation for them as for the church.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford to keep up their building. So it was torn down and sold for, the
Stadiums and office buildings.
the air rights
Madison Square.
and Madison Square Garden.
I don't know.
And so many of the works of quality architecture similarly, or of great interest, similarly have financial issues that are attached to them. The architect of this building, which was originally constructed as a bank,
Yeah.
also was noted, in addition to be Ralph Waldo Emerson's a great nephew. He did a lot of social justice housing, model tenements. Now, you're gonna have an HF, the housing finance.
HDFC.
HDFC, you can
Yeah.
have, and we've had landmark certain buildings up in, I think, in the eighties,
Mhm.
which were, especially interesting because of their historic contribution to the housing workers. Any of the churches which are really, really gorgeous, and I don't necessarily characterize this particular building, although it's got a nice stained glass window in the
Yeah.
back.
Mhm.
But that isn't one of the items that is gonna be subject to preservation. It's the Greek facade, the architecture in the front that, thanks to the selling of the air rights, this church was able to bring back into really good condition.
Mhm.
And I think the comment was made that in their particular case, it'll be maybe a couple of generations before they're stuck for having to maintain this particular architecture and with the added burden. But any building owner has to have a budget to maintain, or else they're gonna end up having to sell the place and move somewhere else. That's just the reality of being a person owning real estate.
I will say.
I just wanna conclude that I think that this resolution should move forward, taking into account every single potentially burdened owner has its tale of woe.
I will say, that as far as the reasonings behind this landmarking, I think they were citing as far as the community element, it was really important in the Little Armenia and the
Yeah,
post
and there's the history of the bank, there's
into the community at
right.
the time. And I think particularly the architect of this building chose the design to
Emerson.
be, to be contrasting to the brownstones that were.
yes, I've read that too. It was a,
So it is unique in some ways in that respect, sure.
I totally understand Tanya's concern and also the property owner's concern. And so my job is to do the condition assessment. And I have repaired lots of residential and religious buildings in the city. And I also want to look at the church 2 months ago. And actually this church has a really, really good facade condition. And also, I also mentioned during last month's meeting that the church just felt a 1 million roof replacement this year. It means that they will replace the whole roof, and then their facade is so good. And the facade, the exterior landmark condition won't affect the interior repair, and they can do anything they want for the interior. And they don't need to file to the LPC. And in this case, and I don't see a potential cost for their repair, because it is just
Today.
And I mean, they also haven't had any facade repair during the last 20 years, and the current facade condition is just so good, and they just replaced the roof. So I don't see any potential cost or a large cost in the future.
Jim,
It just seems to me that this is a form of an unfunded mandate.
It is,
There's a
exactly.
public interest in it,
Mhm.
obviously, in preserving the real estate in a form that we'd like, I'd have loved to have seen Penn Station. But we're doing that without any public funding.
That's
I
right.
mean, it would be nice if, you know, this is the sort of thing that should be funded, at least, at the very least, by offering some kind of line of credit,
Tax relief.
from the city, given the city's current stuff, you know, as you mentioned, the feds do this properly. They give you the tax credits and what have you.
For the federal landmark status give you the tax credit, but the city status also give you the grant, the funding. And the landmark preservation conservancy, the New York Landmarks Conservancy and also LPC also provide the funding to repair the landmark buildings.
They do?
Yeah, they
Oh,
do.
all right,
So it's not available.
No,
Yeah.
but how much? Man,
What, wait.
wait. Jim did ask the question of how much.
Is it an ongoing amount? I mean, like I say, I don't know anything about landmark preservation.
I
I've never-
encourage you to
Oh.
watch our video from last,
Hmm?
Jim, our committee
Yes,
video.
I
on YouTube.
think,
Tanya,
I take umbrage on that statement because as I said, I've been through two FISP cycles in my building as president of the board, and I can tell you that I called personally Landmarks to ask for, are you ready for this? Just a donation of $20,000 to repair the Tudor City sign that's on top of my building, which they claim to be part of the landmark. I digress, but they said, no, we don't give any money. There are no grants at the city level, and you presented your presentation, which was great
Right.
at the last meeting. And I was sitting there and I asked you, does the city give any money? And you said no.
Right. That was my
Oh,
understanding
this
too.
is tax credit and this is the funding program and I can send it later to you.
But-
And I.
That would be
Jim,
great, because I would have saved
Yeah.
$1.2 million if that was the case.
And they will consider the project scale and they will consider your income status and you will need to apply for that and then they will decide on how much and how they will give you the funding.
But you
Okay,
have to,
wait,
excuse
sorry,
me,
excuse
but
me.
my
Jim
engineer,
and Tanya,
On information,
Jim,
on the federal side, okay, the credit is a non-refundable credit, meaning that you have to have a tax liability in order to claim the credit. It's not a check written to you by the feds. You follow me? You understand?
Yeah,
Okay. The city, it sounds like it's kind of discretionary by the city. It's not necessarily direct.
well, for different kinds of funding and grants, they have the specific requirements and if you are eligible, you can apply for that. I didn't say that if you are a landmark, you will necessarily get the grantees or funding
Okay.
from that.
So what you're telling me then is if your building is landmark, you're basically on hook for the cost
Yeah.
of, whatever additional
Yep.
costs there are,
yeah,
25%.
Yes.
25% in your case and whatever.
yes.
So, and as I say, if you're gonna do that, that seems to me to be, it's almost a taking that's prohibited under the, what is it, Fourth Amendment? Fourth Amendment, right?
So
Fifth,
Fifth Amendment. It seems almost like a taking. If I, you know what I mean by taking?
It's a
In
due
other words,
process.
they're imposing they're imposing this.
Okay,
You're
entitled to due process and just compensation.
Right,
Okay, so I'm going to ask this
Doesn't make any
question. We've
sense.
had a lot of discussion about not wanting to support the burden of landmarking for 152 East 34th Street, the Armenian Evangelical Church. They sent the letter. Do we want to amend the resolution to
I would like
remove
to amend
them
it.
from, yes, Brendan?
Just to interject, sorry for like catching you like mid-discussion, but, I see a member of the public's hand.
Yes, I was
raised,
waiting
and
for committee discussion.
It looks like based on my research online, I'm pretty sure he works at.
Oh, excellent. I will allow an interjection from the public then.
Also reflect that Rich Vance has joined us.
Okay.
So it might be worth hearing. from
Yes,
him.
please. Thank you, Brendan, very much. Please allow the permission to talk.
Yeah, Obed Bezekiah, and apologies if I mispronounced that.
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel. You should be able to speak.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Very well,
welcome.
thank you.
Hi, nice to see you all. Good to connect here. My name is Obed Bezekian, and I am the pastor of the Armenian Evangelical Church in New York. One of our board members, Seza Momjan, I just saw her on the side of the Zoom image there. On behalf of our church, thank you so much for considering our church during this in this process. I mean, it is a beautiful thing. I believe, and everyone on our board believes this, to preserve New York's history. There's honestly, one of my greatest laments as someone who works in New York City for the last 12, 13 years is that, as one of the members of Community Board 6 said, that I'm not seeing the real Penn Station. I greatly lament that, because I was like, how magnificent would that have been if that was still in New York? Um, the uh, the current state of our church, we're a small church. I like to say we're small and mighty. We are a very small congregation, small budget. I remember during the last community board meeting, or the last time it was discussed at this gathering, there was the conversation, maybe our church wants to sell the church, or we have interest in that. Zero interest in that at all. We want to keep going. We want to thrive. We want to love God and love the community. And we have every intention to continue. Myself, having worked at a church in New York City, a different church prior to this, that church was landmarked. It was, just hearing about the challenges that church had to work through to uh, to do different repairs and different things. And we were a much larger church at that other location, Redeemer Presbyterian, renting out the Salvation Army during that. So much larger church. Salvation Army is a huge entity. But just hearing some of the stories, if those things were applied to our church, and if there was the need to do certain things to the facade, or anything else as far as the landmark status, there's the potential that it could be pretty harmful for the church. And again, small operation. I'm the only full-time staff member. We have a person that works 10 hours during the week, and that's the most we can afford right now. So again, grateful for this discussion, grateful for the heart behind it. It just would be a challenge upon us that and an undue burden. So if you have any questions, happy to field them. But I just want to share that vocally.
Thank you.
As I understand it, there is a provision where you can claim this kind of a hardship.
Well, it is after the landmark status.
No, what I'm saying is, if they did become landmarked and they are in the same condition financially as they are today,
Yes.
you'd be a very good candidate for this hardship exemption.
What's the purpose of the exemption?
I think that's how you described it.
Yes, and it is the hardship application. It means that if your property has become a landmark and then you prove to the LPC that you have financial hardship to keep the landmark status, and then you can apply for the hardship application, and then maybe they will cancel your
Maybe.
landmark status, but it is very rare and very hard. They have their requirements to ask you to prove, and it is pretty rare and pretty hard, and it's maybe just 13 as of 2024.
What are your thoughts about this particular case? In other words, based upon the excellent condition and hard work, that's been put in, and love that's been put into the upkeep of this building, irrespective of landmark or no landmark status, we're hoping that you're not going to have big expenses anytime in the near future. If it did become landmarked, and there came a point where the stonework or the windows needed some upkeep, this is the time when if you wanted to become de-landmarked. I mean, you could be very proud of the landmark status up until that point, but you could become de-landmarked. That's what we're saying is a possibility.
It sounds like the larger concern, though, it might be easier for them to just avoid the landmark
Yeah.
status to begin with, but I hear what you're saying.
I have a question for the pastoral intern.
Yeah.
So it sounds, based on what you're saying, you don't have funds to finance a full staff right now. How does this differ from, the 1950s Pennsylvania Railroad not being able to fully fund their location? What prevents the church from, at a later time, I know you don't have any intention of selling the property, but what prevents the church, from at a later time not being there or in its current condition?
What prevents the church from being in a worse financial condition in the
No,
future?
selling.
Well,
So, yeah, that would-
not being,
Consecrating and
yeah,
then
not
sell.
being in the condition that it is in, right? So the point of landmarking is to preserve the
So if
facade.
the church
in
were
this
to have to
case,
leave the
right?
congregation, the building facade would be.
Well, what I'm asking is what will prevent that from happening?
Well, we are hoping to grow. I mean, our church size is small. We're between 15 to 20 on a Sunday, so we are small. The space seats about 200 or so, maybe 175 if we're like sardines. But yeah, what will prevent that from happening? An active attempt to grow the church, an active attempt to thrive. And we have every intention to do that. We just launched Church Cafe, where our church is open 2 to 3 days a week. Just telling the church, hey, we're here. We're doing other efforts throughout the week into the summer. But yeah, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but we have every intention to grow the church and put the church in a better place, in a better financial situation. We are not in an excellent place right now. We are not in a place that we will close tomorrow by any means, but this will just be an undue burden upon us.
I'm gonna ask if the board member with us has anything to say as far as like this resolution and application for landmarking.
As the pastor said, we are, I mean, he's a new pastor, so he came with a lot of energy and we trust him, we put all of our trust in him. He's a young pastor, so he's growing another young people. So we're looking forward to it. It has a lot of promise. So yeah, we're backing him 100%.
James?
I think we're looking at this the wrong way. Because once you give somebody an option to not become a landmark, then everybody will want to not become a landmark, and that those protections are in place to preserve the building style that we have. And because a bad repair can be devastating for a building. And if someone's going for the cheapest possible option, then that's what's going to happen, and then the repair to correct the bad repair becomes much, much more expensive. So rather than kind of singling out specific buildings to be not landmarked or landmarked, I think what we should be advocating for is a mechanism to help people who can't afford to properly do the repairs, advocate for city funding for those instances.
Absolutely.
And that's something that we can visit as a community. It's a good suggestion. And
Can't hear you.
I said that's something we can advocate for as this committee, and it's a good suggestion. But I do want to relift my earlier suggestion of, we've had a lot of discussion on the specific location, and if we as a committee would like to remove it from the resolution, and if there's any other discussion on the other one, I'd love to hear it. Alan.
Just a question about the resolution.
Mhm.
So the resolution is going for landmark buildings that are cited in the resolution,
Including the interior.
including the interior development, and your suggestion is that we remove the church because they've submitted this letter, in which
Yes.
case they don't want landmark.
And based also on the feelings and discussion of this
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
Tia.
Can I ask the property owner, so do you have any record? How much have you spent on the facade repair during the last 20 years? I am asking this because I look at all the DOB record and almost nothing except for the new roof replacement. And I totally understand your concern about your financial status. And if this facade is in a pretty poor condition, and I can see a potential for a great expense after being a landmark, I will definitely not support it, because I didn't see this potential expense, and that's why I think I'm going to support the landmark, the landmark designation.
Wait, hold on.
Did she answer the question?
You're saying that
She's asking if you guys have spent anything more than on the roof recently. Have you like updated the facade recently, or?
We have not.
Okay.
As far as so I've been on staff for a year, but I've been a part of the church for 12 years. We haven't done any type of extensive work on the facade, in terms of repair.
Okay,
But.
So-
It is a very solid building.
yes, that's what we were.
Yeah. We have done a cleaning. We have cleaned the outside at a few different junctures. But as far as, there might have been some perhaps leak repair on the roof that might have touched the
Right.
back end of the facade. But nothing as far as the front of facade, from my understanding.
Okay, and so she is in favor of keeping it in the resolution.
So,
Can I ask one clarifying question? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Is the landmark status, so we keep talking about the facade, is it for the interior as well? Because I heard that language.
no, the interior is for another building, 149 East 23rd, that is in this resolution. It's the post office. Yours would not be up for interior landmarking, it's just the facade.
Okay, thank you.
so I'm concerned because I feel like several committee members have expressed an underlying disdain for the landmarks law as it stands. And I think that although this is not a single family home and air rights already have been transferred in this particular property, one could even argue that the post office is going to be relatively insolvent in a few short months,
be very
right? So they could financially have the same claim. I'm concerned that the landmarks laws has been enacted particularly to protect the institutions that we hold dear in our community and our city. And it isn't necessarily the cheapest or the most expedient thing for people to go through. But it is still fairly important. So I am in favor of the resolution as it stands.
I'm hearing you're in favor of the resolution as it stands and in favor of the potential discussion that James mentioned at a future meeting. Great. Joe?
Me.
Yes.
As James is talking about, the expenses of this are to be borne by the property owners.
As it stands.
And, seems to me very discretionary as to whether or not the city would fund any of it. If this is a public good, just speaking from an economic perspective, if you have a public good like a lighthouse for seafarers or what have you, or a traffic light, it's a public good, it should be funded publicly. And unless we're in some position now to put this as a budget priority
Well, we can
for the
discuss
committee,
later in the.
I don't see that I could vote for this in good conscience.
Tanya.
Actually, since I had that to add, there are two things that I think that landmarks would be helping the city.
Mhm.
One is what Jim has brought up, which was going to be one of my suggestions, because we all want to preserve our famous buildings, our great buildings. My building is 100 years old. It's turning 100 this year. I mean, these are all important buildings, but there has to be some form of public funding. Maybe not 100%, maybe, a certain percentage.
So you're never gonna.
But
So there has to be, the other thing that I would suggest, and the other thing that I would suggest, and it's something that I'm sure none of you have had to deal with, except maybe you, is that, for example, my building is 100 years old. The same terracotta has been used through every FISP cycle, through every in every building in Tudor City has the same terracotta. There are only 2 producers of terracotta in the United States. And instead of having a catalog of pre-approved terracottas for those buildings, which, all you'd have to do is say, well, we're using, terracotta 1, 2, 3 and window 376. Landmarks makes you go through the whole process every single time. So having a catalog of pre-approved materials for certain landmark buildings, I think would also help a lot.
I would like you to email me those things because we can talk about them in a future meeting. I do agree that we, as a committee can, and talking to our elected officials we can ask for things to change as far as the LPC goes. But as far as keeping it on the resolution.
I don't want to keep it on the resolution because just because the building is in good shape today does not mean, given our environmental situation,
Right.
that we could have a disaster at the church, next month. And then they're landmark and they have to spend an additional year
Sure.
and an additional 25%
Larry.
to fix it.
Well,
They never fix it.
well, the overriding public
They'll make you
policy
fix it.
behind the landmark, and it is a matter of a consensus of the public that develops a policy to preserve your history. And if that history has value, then you've got to find a way to make it work. I discussed with Jim just before the meeting and also with you, Maya, the history of New York University Heights campus, which due to financial straits at the university in the early 70s was sold off. And
And who bought it?
well, it was,
The city of New York.
it became a community college. But had this not been landmarked prior to it becoming a community college, and the city with its way of building or the various, the DVC building things on the cheap, they could have done wholesale damage to you know, like, maybe take down the cornices, like many buildings, have that happen. You'd have, destruction in order to save a few bucks here and there, and it would never look the same. New York University, even though they were going to be selling the property, went through the process of getting, 3 individual buildings, landmark. And then just prior to the sale, they got the entire, campus plan, designated. I'm not quite sure the exact, landmarking designation that it has, but, it's either, as a, you know, as a, like Tudor City, you know, it's the campus.
The district,
Right.
yeah.
And, so,
But for this one specifically, sorry.
but this is what was done, because they couldn't afford it, they sold it. Any landowner who owns a landmark building may ultimately be in that position of having to cut costs. And, if it's a beautiful building and it isn't landmarked, we're just gonna have, the treasures of the city, destroyed. And it happened with, what was this, building that, was, on Fifth Avenue, next to Tiffany,
On
We
the,
now have Trump here.
the old department store,
you know, the facade that was supposed to be,
one that
preserved and given to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, but,
not Bergdorf. Bergdorf?
No, Bergdorf is still
No,
there.
it wasn't Bergdorf, it was, you're talking about the one that went to Trump Tower, right?
yeah.
Became Trump Tower.
And that was promised to be saved, but because there wasn't any law that,
It wasn't
could be
designated.
enforced, it was,
Understood.
to save a couple of bucks on the
So,
construction, it was sledgehammered and destroyed,
All
so
I'm
it couldn't be
saying is,
landmarked.
What's your priorities where your budget is?
so what I wanna do is I want to do a show of hands, because it's sounding very 50-50 right now. And then we're going to, all the show of hands is to decide if we're going to keep 125 East 34th Street, which is the Armenian Evangelical Church,
152.
in 152, yes.
Well, we should take a vote.
Can I just follow up on what Tanya said, just very
No,
quickly?
I wanna do, cause we haven't discussed anything else in this resolution, and we spent almost an hour on this one place alone, which is deserving of, but I would like to move it forward, cause I think everyone is pretty
Use the gavel.
decided in their ideas. So we're going to do, let's do a vote, cause it's sounding pretty 50-50. It's an informal vote, but I want the actual tally numbers.
Okay, so when I call your name, please say whether you're in favor.
Of keeping
or-
it in the
Of
resolution.
keeping it in the resolution or, want to
Against.
take it out of the
Just
resolution.
the Armenian.
Just the
Church?
Armenian. This is an informal vote, we're not
But
voting on
the vote
resolution.
is in favor of keeping it in, and if
Yes.
it's,
Correct.
if we don't wanna keep it in, then
You're
it's against,
opposed, yes.
opposed, okay.
So. Just say keep or remove, let's keep it simple.
Okay, keep it
So-
removed.
So keep or remove, when I call your name. Tanya Arias,
Remove it.
okay, Daniel Bernstein. Remove. Jim Collins,
Remove.
Maya Donahue,
Keep.
Al Middleton,
Remove.
Rich Mintz,
Abstain.
Larry Shire,
Keep,
Sandra Sherrod,
Protect.
let's see, Mark Thompson,
Remove.
James Vera.
keep.
Make me vote, I will, but.
I think we have a,
We might have.
Oh,
oh yeah, sure, yeah, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we have one more, Shia Zhao.
Oh, no.
Okay, we are literally 50-50.
Okay, Rich.
I remove and one abstain.
Mr. Vice President.
I'm gonna vote with Sandra, I think.
Which is to keep it.
Which is the keep.
Yes.
So we have 6 keeps, 5 removes, so
Wonderful.
it'll.
Very wonderful discussion.
Ever so fair.
So
No.
If anybody has anything, I would love to hear Jim's comments on 149 East 23rd, because he's brought it up before, but, if anybody has any comments on any of the other buildings, this is a great time to talk about it, otherwise we can, if someone has a motion to vote on it. The resolution. Any motion,
So moved.
any other comments?
Would we, if we wanted to bring up any kind of funding from the city or protections like
That's
that?
going to be a different
That'd be
agenda, we could be, do that next month.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, it's an excellent idea,
we
it's
should
something that we can definitely work for. And this is, I would like to say to the committee members, with landmarks being new to this committee, like, very much please bring these kinds of ideas, whether you email me or bring them here, old or new business is fine. But this is something that would be, I think, really great and momentum moving for us to do. So we will talk about it at the next meeting, probably. So I guess we can vote on the resolution as a whole.
On the resolution?
Yes,
Yeah,
nobody has
complete
any other.
resolution.
I actually will offer a personal thought on 149 East 23rd, which is the USPS. I think it's a great thing that we're into.
You
You have to listen to me, Jeff.
kind of, you have a very low voice.
149 East 23rd, the USPS.
Right?
I am very happy that there is the move to interior land market. I think keeping the murals in a public space and publicly accessible is a really good thing for the community and the city at large to be doing for the future of it. That's it.
Okay.
All the present WP
Yeah.
is a nice program.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second?
Second.
Yeah.
Already just lost. We just lost
Okay.
them recently, so yes.
So now, when I call your name, please say whether you are in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled to the resolution as a whole.
Great.
Tanya Arias.
Opposed.
Daniel Bernstein.
In favor.
And you said
In
in
favor.
favor? Jim Collins.
Opposed?
Maya Donahue.
In favor.
Alec Militant.
Opposed.
Rich Mintz.
In favor.
Larry Shire.
In favor,
Sandra Sharad.
In favor.
Mark Thompson.
In favor.
James Vera.
In favor.
And Shuya Zhao.
In favor.
With 8 committee members in favor and 3 opposed, this resolution passes and will be before full board in June.
Thank you, Brenda. So now we'll move to our next agenda topic, which is continued discussion of public restrooms and privately owned public spaces, which is something we discussed, I think, 2 months ago. We lost quorum last month to discuss it, but Alec wrote us a great resolution that I hope all of you looked at. This is reflective of what we talked about 2 months ago. If anybody has any questions, now's the time.
All question? I think this is about the 7th time I've voted for this. In the last 25 years.
Go to vote.
Yeah, I think it'll vote.
Okay, so when I call your name, please say whether you are in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled. Tanya Arias.
In favor.
Daniel Bernstein.
In favor.
Jim Collins.
Favor.
Maya Donahue.
In favor.
Alec Militant.
In favor.
Rich Mintz.
In favor.
Larry Shire.
in favor,
Sandra Sharad.
In favor.
Mark Thompson.
In favor.
James Vera.
In favor.
And Shuya Zhao.
In favor.
With all 11 committee members in favor, this resolution passes.
I'm happy that we're unanimous on foot.
now we got some momentum going.
Okay, and the next agenda item is discussion of the fiscal year 2028 statement of district needs and budget requests. Do we have the like
resolution.
Airtable form thing that shows our blurb from last year?
Yes, I can pull that up
Thank you.
in just a moment.
I did see everyone who submitted something, or we can look at this is time coded, I'm sorry. What the people who did submit, what they said, there was a lot of, not a lot of consensus on what we want to be our number one. I think they're obviously all very important and it is hard to choose just one, but it will. Based on where we are in the calendar this year, we do need to, and also what we heard from Steve last month, or I guess last week, on that we need to decide something, so like the further committees can like cement it and we can send it to our elected officials, so we do need to come out with something tonight. So if anybody wants to kick it off.
I'll just say this is pretty pertinent. Last night at the Housing and Homelessness Committee, we had previously agreed to include, I think it was affordable housing creation, it's our top district need. We had a great, Steve actually drafted a really great report, but we are going to vote on it as a full committee next month because there was still some like language tweaks that we had.
Okay,
This is sort of like a little background context. I don't remember what we as a land use committee decided was our top priority.
I think last year it was, actually, I don't remember the
think
creation
you
or preservation, I think it's,
It's affordable housing this year also.
Yeah. Creation.
last year it was.
And it's this year
But this
again.
year we haven't, that is our like default, but we haven't.
Okay, so
Clarify
then,
that.
so we might, it might be good to just coordinate on the.
No, I agree, and I think, Brendan, if I recall, we can't submit really independent lands to committee, like we do have to align with what housing is saying, right?
You say that again?
Like us as CB6 has to say one answer for this like section, even
Correct.
though it does split into two different committees.
Correct.
Does this include the one that we saw last night at the housing committee?
I mean, I wasn't at housing, but you all looked at this particular section, correct?
Can we look at the
So yes, it
blurb?
would,
or-
yeah,
Yeah.
like, yes,
Yeah,
two
let's-
committees are looking at this, but it has to be submitted as one piece.
Okay, I got you, okay. So then we should probably, as two committees, coordinate on the language that we want.
Is there anything you can share from last night that will help us?
How do you mean?
Oh, well, since some of us, myself included, wasn't able to watch the thing, when it gets onto the YouTube, it's maybe the next day, so.
Oh,
Didn't participate in the meeting.
yeah, sure. So I guess there's a little rundown of the discussion last night. So several members of the committee, including Shuya, have been working on getting more affordable housing information for our community district. They've done a lot of great work. And the results of their findings have guided the blurb that Steve drafted for us. So there's a lot of, it's kind of data heavy. But there's also some things in there that we kind of want to expand on because there's no word or character limit. So we're going to try to sort of really buff up the language.
Well, my comment on the existing language was related to updating the data because years passed and.
Yep.
So that was the thing I contributed.
And that was also something that a member of the committee had noted that previous drafts had included data from different years and from different sources. I think last year cited 24 data and 25 data, so it was a little inconsistent. So I
Right,
think,
that's my point.
yeah, so I think that the information that we have now is up to date and more accurately reflects our community district.
Daniel?
Just a question for Alec, really quick.
Sure.
You're talking about the paragraph, then line 27, this paragraph, is that what you're talking about? Or what are you talking about, those two paragraphs?
No, can you scroll down?
Or something different, cause I was.
Well, our
confused.
blurb, is it different in there?
This was last year.
Yeah,
I see.
okay,
So this is the
But-
one that we are changing.
And
The
that's
data,
what
though.
he was working on that you're saying.
Okay.
Does have
Yeah,
a word limit,
The
right?
data was wrong.
but you're just changing the data, you're not really changing the sentiment.
Correct.
Right.
They are fixing thrust it over.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a complete overhaul, really.
Okay.
I mean, the first paragraph is pretty, so. Probably even English.
I mean, I think.
Not
I
just
think,
refreshing the numbers, but actually.
I think the version that we're looking.
Chat GPT it,
Yeah,
chat
Nah,
GPT it.
I'd rather not.
I think the version we're looking at this evening is different than the one that was shared with us yesterday, so maybe it makes sense to align on.
Cause there's also like sources URL, I wasn't sure, but.
I think we just need to share out the one that we're all working on, so we're working in the same document together.
Okay, I was just confused on what exactly it was we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, this is last. year,
Yeah,
So it's.
But it sounds like we're pretty comfortable with aligning with what the housing committee is doing.
Sorry?
Or it sounds like people are pretty comfortable with aligning with what the housing committee is and this
I mean,
proceeding.
if we decided as two committees
I think that'd be
vote on
great.
the same thing, we
Yes.
should probably align.
It would be great for us to vote like in committees on the same exact language,
Yeah.
but I think.
I just added, I just had editorial comments on this, and also on the one paragraph there, under affordable housing creation, affordable housing is listed here in CD6. When we say, thanks to the passage of the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act of 2019. I don't know that I'm a
You're-
fan of that, simply because it tends to warehouse a lot of housing. So I wouldn't say thanks to, I would just say, the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act of 2019.
Contributing or.
being completely rewritten.
Yeah, so he was
Where was
saying
it?
this is. gonna
You're
be-
looking at last year's.
Yeah, this is the one I was.
So the language is not there.
No,
It's gonna be there. So we won't put thank.
No thanks. Brendan,
No,
yeah.
thanks.
No thanks.
Thanks.
And
Contribute
following
too.
the I missed an email related to the blurb that
Yes.
Company's been working on for this, but,
When did that one
if,
go up?
like, once it's worked on, it could be sent to me so I can share with land use members, just so that way land use members can also.
Well, there's a lot of editorial
Yeah.
stuff in there too, just grammar and stuff like
Right,
that, that you wanna look at.
So if. Yeah, go.
If you wanna say
No,
something.
go for it.
I was just gonna ask, then, it seems like affordable housing creation is and was a top issue for
Yes.
most of us in the committee, or at least like. Like a very highly rated issue. I was gonna ask basically what people said, you
Yeah,
know, like
for
that.
This is a very agreeable table versus what came in the emails, just, but it wasn't as different, it was just like. Some people were more thinking about like trying to parse the things of like buying versus renting.
Sure.
or this-
Yeah, because, you know, I
or,
said,
like,
I think,
environmental concerns.
yeah, I said in my email, like, there were things related to land use and environmental concerns that were maybe my top issue, but I think affordable housing creation is important, and I wouldn't be like.
And we do have to agree with housing.
Yeah, so in in my perspective, it is really important. Yeah, sure, I'm wishy-washy, I'm flip-flop, but no, but like. Basically, I was sort of just wondering, when the results came in, well, what did people have to say?
Well, the results have come in over the last 2 months, but like, 'cause we were supposed to discuss this last month, and we didn't get the
Yeah, yeah.
opportunity to, but I would like to suggest. That it seems like we're all in consensus, unless you're gonna say something
Well,
else.
I would,
About working with the housing committee, so if we can vote on having that be our top issue and feel comfortable with whatever the housing committee is gonna come out with, it'll be sent to everybody. But I would like to get this very finalized so we can present it to the execs and everything before the summer recess, which is coming up very, very quickly, because our meeting next month is gonna be right before the summer recess, and it's gonna be, I think, one of the last meetings.
for that, we're all grateful, but,
Yes, Tanya.
but the blurbs that came in from each one of us,
Mhm.
are we going to see them?
I don't think
just-
we pulled them up, but if you feel really strongly about something else, like, please mention it now.
I mean, no, I'm all, we're all in for housing, obviously, I always have an issue with this affordable housing, because it's so open-ended.
How do you define it? Yeah.
That it really drives me nuts, it's just like it's like the throwaway expression. I think we need to get a little tightening screws. We need to start tightening some screws as opposed to just throwing it out there. I mean, there was also, I think I included environmental
Yeah, there were some things about like other environmental.
impact that for
I
our
think you mentioned
district,
that
which
at the exec committee as well, the notes.
no, but not just the noise, the particles in the air in this
Yeah,
district
I
and
mean,
all
we
of
have-
that, which are huge.
But if you're still for affordable as number one, not that those are not important and not that, this is something that I'm also in the transportation we've discussed, is that. What we decide here does not preclude us from discussing other issues, and I do think, I mean, this is my responsibility as chair, but it's also all of our responsibilities being part of this committee. To bring these other issues that are the other 9 on the list continuously to each meeting for us to discuss and for us to move forward. I think the big issues, what we're asking the city to put the big dollars into, but the other ones are still really, really important, and we can still advocate with our elected officials every other month. Yes, sir.
In connection with what you're talking about at transportation, we had a fairly even split on two different topics. And so what we're working toward, and what I made a suggestion about was trying to work the number two topic into the framework of the number one topic. And as Tanya was saying, affordable housing is pretty broad. We could, I mean, just throwing this out, Alec, as it may be a way of bringing, if environmental concerns are relevant, to attack livable spaces from a health point of view, you know, health and, you know, which, you know, that it's, we had these tenement laws which required air shafts so that you weren't just with a window up against a brick wall. So this has been there, the environmental issue has been there from the very beginning. And you might be able to weave that into your final language.
Brendan?
So, one thing to bring up on the topic of environmental issues is that at tomorrow's executive committee meeting, the executive committee will discuss the Sigmund district needs for park infrastructure, city services, and resiliency. And some of the options that exec could select for the most important issue for that category are environmental topics.
And I think from the
So-
last couple of the meetings, it sounds like it will go that way, in my opinion, from attending them, but so. As it stands, we want affordable housing creation. And we're okay with having housing take the lead on the drafting since they already got the ball rolling.
Sure.
And we will all be able to look at it, so Jim, if you have one final thought.
Preservation, housing, affordable housing
What-
preservation.
That's a second bullet item, so
Yes.
if that's what you prefer, please speak.
I'd like to see it to me, it's one of the
We've
same.
done-
There is language in the working draft that we have that weaves in housing preservation.
Okay,
Because
'cause-
based on the research that Shuya and Steve have done so far, there's been a loss of affordable housing, so we've weaved in some language. that
Right.
includes that.
What I'd like to see is an inventory of the housing, and I don't know if the city already keeps it, but also an aging of vacant apartments. So for example, is an apartment turning over because the tenant has left? Is the apartment turning over because it's being remodeled, or is the apartment being warehoused?
That seems like a much larger issue than
Yeah.
our statement of
Yeah,
issue.
yes, it is. It is. It's a citywide
Yeah.
issue, though. It's a citywide issue, and I don't know how we, you know, if it doesn't come from the lowest level, I don't know if it will ever get to the highest
I
level.
suggest attending a housing meeting.
I also chose the preservation one at first, and I flip-flopped to the first one because it was a clarification that if we bring the lost units back, it is called creation, it is
Mhm.
not called preservation, and that's why I just changed my mind to the first one.
Preservation has
Because
one more,
if you lose
If you lose it,
affordable housing
Yeah.
and make it market rate, you have to recreate.
Right.
Affordable
Right.
housing.
right,
If
Yeah,
you're
that-
not preserving it, you have to recreate.
And that
I'm
was
just talking about
the reason for the 2019 law that you don't like.
right.
Right. Well,
and
the
preservation
2019 law-
preservation also has another secondary effect,
Thanks.
which is that when you take down entire rows of 6-story buildings of townhouse type row houses, you're not only doing away with the housing, but you're also doing away with the spaces that allow small businesses. Because once you put up an enormous monster, you know, with 33,000 square feet of commercial space, who's going to rent it?
Yeah,
So you're doing away with the fabric of New York in terms of small businesses too. So
That's-
that's point time.
When you get to small business, that's another topic. I've long thought that we ought to have,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to vote
formula business.
formally as a committee on this being our district needs.
Yep.
Thing, Brendan.
Yes.
Our statement.
We've
So
done,
yeah,
We've gotten very lofty today.
Very simple. So, when I call your name,
But
please
that's
say whether you are in
really-
favor, oppose, just in favor or opposed to having affordable housing creation
Correct.
as our top need for this section. Tanya Arias,
In favor.
Daniel Bernstein,
In favor.
Jim Collins.
Yeah, okay.
Mike Donahue,
In favor.
Alice Militek,
In favor.
Rich Mintz,
In favor.
Larry Shire,
In favor.
Sandra Sherrod,
favor.
Mark Thompson,
In favor.
James Vera,
In favor.
and Shuya Zhao.
In favor.
So all 11 committee members are in favor of having affordable housing creation as our top need for this section.
Thank you, everyone. So now we'll move on to the chair's report. I do have a couple of things. So there's been stuff going around online. And it's been forwarded to me several times by different people. The 780 Third Avenue Pops location has been apparently incredibly hostile to people, of members of the public who want to sit there. The security comes out, tells them they can't sit there, yells at them.
What's across the street?
It is in like the lower 50s, I think, or the upper 40s.
48.
There it is. And it's, to me, ironic because it has emblazoned in the concrete, like, seating, welcome.
No, is
Very-
there, is there a tenant, is there a particular
So-
tenant in that building that is
Yes,
behind
and
that?
so what I wanna do is we're going to discuss this at next month, but what I would like members of the committee to come and bring any other examples that are within this committee or this community district, so we can talk about it holistically and not one off, because we do want our pops broadly to be welcome to everyone, and I think it's better to address it largely instead of trying to put out little fires everywhere. And then the other thing is, it was mentioned by the borough president at our full board meeting a couple weeks ago, but the 1863 draft riot commemoration idea, that's something that I'm going to be working on as far as like bringing something for landmarking in our area, but it's gonna be probably a commemorative plaque. But if you're interested in working on that, please let me know. It'll probably be after summer when we're actually looking at it as a committee, but it's going down the pipeline. And that's it for my church report. So is there any older new business from the committee?
I have a question on the pops thing. Isn't
Mhm.
this a matter for DOB?
Yes, but I think as representative of the community and the voice of the community, we should discuss it at large, especially as we're talking about other pop things in general.
Okay, because if all to DOB, you take care of that.
Yes, but I want to give this opportunity for members of the public who are watching at home and of the committee to bring other ones. Because I really don't want to be like one here, one here, one here.
No, I get it.
Look at it broadly. Yes. thanks.
With respect to your investigation of the draft riots, are you thinking in terms of there being historic locations where a particular event happened over the several days of the riots, and maybe commemorating the same with perhaps a plaque and explain? I've
So this is
advocated a
very
plaque instead of a
stated.
name on a street sign.
No, I'm thinking of a plaque. I think it was also mentioned by the borough president to have some kind of like virtual Freedom Trail-esque thing to go through the multiple phases of the multiple days. But I personally would like to see an actual plaque in the origin of the Jack riots and then work from there. But I would like to see something more
This is.
larger than a street coding.
1863.
1863, largest Jack riots in the country.
There was
Not
another
history.
one in 1870.
For the Civil War. But any other older new business? Yes, Dana?
Yeah.
You have a first name?
No, I've communicated with Maya, Alec, you probably ought to be involved with this as well. There's an item called a 197C. Whereby, well, you know this, there's a 197C where you can designate the use of a property specifically. Based on the 197A that we've already submitted. And one of our highest priorities was affordable housing. And I was suggesting that and I guess our consultant agrees, that we use the 197C route to designate the property at Mount Sinai, Beth Israel, as affordable housing and have it designated by the city council. Which is something that was done up in near Columbia University by the former borough president Scott Stringer, back when he was borough president. But, I think we need to get rolling on it. I think you were the one that told me that they're already gutting the building. They're gutting MSBI.
Support from
So,
Rivera's office.
pardon me?
We're looking for support from Rivera's office.
I can't hear you. Very low.
Thank you.
Looking for support from the mayor's office, I heard.
Rivera's.
Oh, from Rivera's office, yeah, because apparently it's, it's a few bucks to do the 197C. But I can send you the documentation that I
Yeah,
have.
that'd be helpful. Yeah, I can bring it up next month if it wasn't.
Yeah. It's just, time is of the essence,
Sure,
cause they're
yeah.
gonna sell
Daniel.
I have two things. The first is, I had a follow-up question on the draft riots that, the plaque is to commemorate the riots?
Yeah, there's nothing presently in the city for it.
The biggest casualties in the draft riots were right in front of Stuyvesant Town.
Yeah,
Present day Stuyvesant Town, where everything was a troop of veterans from Gettysburg, Battle of Gettysburg, came in. They ordered the crowd to disperse.
okay.
They refused to
Right.
disperse. They opened fire.
So it's not like celebrating, like, yeah.
Hmm?
It's not like celebrating, like, yeah, we were protesting.
But
No,
it's really.
commemorate, not celebrate.
Yeah, and it's really important in
Learn
school
your
like
history.
history within the United States.
I know my history. I was just making sure that, that's why I was double checking.
Where
I
do
was
you
making
live?
sure that it wasn't like
Where do you live?
near Stuytown.
You live near Stuytown?
Yeah.
Okay. 22nd Street on the northeast corner
Yeah,
is where the armory was.
yeah,
And they set fire to that armory
yeah,
and killed a bunch of people as well.
yeah. So
Here's-
the older new business that I had,
All these buildings.
and the older new business that I had is
I would
that,
have preserved all those buildings.
So I don't have.
yeah, as Sandy mentioned in full board, when I wasn't actually there, I'm leaving New York this summer, so I'll be leaving.
Oh, congratulations.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What's your plan?
He
sorry?
got
What's your-
admitted to his master's.
Yeah, I'm going to get a master's in public policy.
Where?
Wow.
And a great school, great program, yes,
At the Harvard.
following my footsteps.
Not too shabby.
Thank you. And so I'll be leaving New York. I am still technically a full member for the rest of this month, or at least until new appointees are appointed. And then I think I'll be around in June. I'll
What's the
probably be
program?
2 years.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
Not-
please zoom in at anytime you.
Yeah.
get the
Yeah,
chance.
we'd love to
still
have you
critical this in there, so technically you qualify.
Yeah. Sure. So, yeah, so, I'll be around probably in June through the summer break until I ultimately leave New York, but just to let you guys know through my voice, because I wasn't there when Sandy made an announcement the other day.
Yeah, I was surprised to see you walk in and went, oh, no, he's still with us.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
didn't
for
get
doing
his
it in
diploma
person.
and his pin yet.
Not yet.
So it's
Oh, yeah,
not
it's
official.
not
And it's hot.
official. CV6 at home.
It's not food, but it's not good.
Yeah, we can say we knew you win. you know?
Okay,
Yeah.
is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Not to, okay, great. If there are no objections, we'll adjourn the meeting. Seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned.